Hello. It's great to be with you all. And at first, I'd like to thank for the really kind invitation to share my reflections here today on inclusive innovation from the healthcare perspective. I guess this talk will be a bit intimate because Marlene challenged me saying, yeah, but say what you've learned, say how you feel. So it will be very intimate. So I wonder how this will be with being recorded. I am a doctor. I'm a cardiologist, a heart doctor, and a senior consultant in the Skåne University Hospital. And I'm also a professor of cardiology. So I'll tell you how I feel. I have several roles. I'm very fortunate. I have a role as a doctor. I meet the patients. I try to treat them. They are my target, and they are the reason why I get up from bed every day. And there is a relation there that we can think of in this sense of inclusive innovation. I will also have a second reflection on the relation that the patients have towards doctors, or at least how I feel it. And then we have another role that I have, which is as a professor, as a researcher. I work also in the Clinical Research Center, Lund University, Clinical Sciences in Malmö, where I have a group. So I'm a research team leader. And then we try to solve problems that I was inspired by the patients in the clinic. I try to find better solutions for them. And finally, the step 4, the fourth reflection I will share with you today, is then to bring it back to the clinic on the other side of the road. You see my walks every day, back and forth, how we can try to innovate and make it better for them. So the first reflection, the doctor meeting patient aspect, I guess this is somehow the easiest, or it should be the easiest, because we are trained as doctors just to be professionals, and it's all about the Hippocratic oath. So treat everybody with respect, no matter who they are or what they are, or so that's sort of easy. But on the other hand, we are actually also people. And we are males, we are females, we have lots of different specialities. Do you see my pointer, by the way? You do? Yeah, thank you. And also we have different levels of specialities. And you see orange is females, males is blue. And we all have also different experiences. You see an interesting decrease on females in seniority here. Yeah. Another reflection I've got a bit inspired about these differences. And I belong to the Swedish Society of Cardiology. So a lot of I will talk about is into cardiology. But they've been doing efforts, especially from the European Society, to see how many women we have or not. And I want to share with you this from Professor Linda, the variation all through the world in the different countries. Sweden has 33% of female members, but it varies actually between 3 and 74%. It's a huge variation. One can also see that there are some improvements going on, and the European Society has made a special effort, and they are choosing some women to do a very prestigious course in Oxford, the Women Transforming Leadership course. And I was super fortunate to be chosen one of these 8 women in 2018 to do this course. And this was really inspirational. And I can tell you, this course is actually a reason why I'm here today talking to you, even though being so open and exposing my intimate reflections on this very important but sensitive topic. I want to move now to the second reflection. So the patient meeting the doctor. Now, it's actually probably even a patient meeting healthcare, but I will talk about myself. And the patients, they are really our inspiration. And we should be trying to be inclusive for the patients. But somehow I wonder, the patients should also be inclusive to healthcare. And this is highly provocative. And yeah, sometimes I think patients can also have some different ideas. I can tell a very private story. I remember an old lady when I worked a long time ago in the emergencies, and she really didn't want to be examined by me because she wanted to have a Swedish doctor. And, I said, okay, I'll try to find one. I went all around the acute and the emergencies in Malmö and looked even through orthopedics, but no one was from Sweden. So I had to tell her, well, listen, either you come tomorrow, there will come Swedish doctors, maybe, not sure. Or, yeah, you have to cope with me. So yeah, there are many interesting aspects we can reflect on. Here I want to bring you 4 messages with this graph. These are people, this is the population. The population is getting older and older, we know that. People keep on dying mostly of cardiovascular diseases, both men and women, but women live longer, as you can see here. And that's why they are really suffering of cardiovascular diseases as well. And 50% of the world population, at least, are women. And now try to remember this in the rest of my presentation. So you understand why I like cardiology. I really want to try to make a difference and save some people from dying, because this is the disease that we should all be afraid of. This is what will kill most of us. And if not kill, give us a lot of disability. And look at women. They have actually higher mortality after the first year after heart attacks, especially if they're young. So younger people, younger women are dying more than men. They have different types of symptoms. They receive treatment to a lower extent, and they have even other risk factors. So I think a very important message is that women are not small men. Maybe this sounds like, of course not, but yeah, I think sometimes people forget this, or doctors forget this, or healthcare forgets this. And we should not only treat the well-established risk factors, but think even about sex-specific risk factors, gender-specific risk factors. We know that women are much more susceptible to mental stress-induced ischemia affected by marital loss and psychological factors than men. So we have to try to open up and think about this. And I was just in a World Conference of Cardiology this weekend, and I was so happy to see that now Lancet, so one of the most famous journals in the world, medical journals, is making a commission for women cardiovascular disease. This is huge. Finally, we're getting there. But let me show you more. When we try to move to when I try to think about my role in research, of course, I see what patients need or would like to have, and I try to look for improvements. But in the lab, I can see that even from the experimental part, I use cells, we use tissues, we use animal models. But look at the animal models we have. Many studies only have male mice, or some studies only have female mice. So yeah, we are already in a preclinical level doing less inclusive approaches, or maybe we didn't even think about it, or maybe it's cheaper. But there are things we can resonate and maybe think about in the future. And then, of course, we want to move to the humans and the trials, and I'll come back to that. Then also in the research field, or in my research role, we have the teams. The teams are our most precious things. They are the potential innovators. I believe they should be as more complementary or as skilled and varied, the better, because then they really can fill in your own gaps. So this is a photo of my team. I'm so fortunate to have people from all over the world, races, genders, sexes, whatnot. But for me, the important thing is they are super skilled and that they are happy and eager to make improvements for the patients. this is not a new problem. And the Lancet, as I told you, this is a great reference if you want to read more. One of the most famous journals in the world. They already have a great report stating that for more than 2 decades, it has been known that women in academia, and now there's a huge text, this is not so pedagogic here, but I really want to show you how crazy it is. So women must perform to a higher standard to have same recognition. They are often characterized by lacking brilliance. They contribute more labor for less credit. They receive less compelling letters of recommendation. They receive worse teaching evaluations despite same effectiveness. They do more service work. They receive less startup funding. They are less often invited to reviewers to give talks. And when they are invited, sometimes they are introduced not even by their formal title. And their publications take longer time to publish. So there are so many examples, but I don't want to sound bitter. I want to sound really positive, because it's so great that we are finally getting aware of this situation. And now the next step. So my fourth role, when we try anyway to bring our new ideas and our innovations back to the clinic, back to the patient's use. And then we have to start doing trials, of course, and very thorough, very exact. And there we see that women are still underrepresented, despite there's been legislation since the 80s trying to make a difference. And look here, I think these numbers talk for themselves. Women are represented less than 40% in trials for 10 years almost. So the treatments we are giving the people at the moment are treatments, both women and men, are treatments we tested mostly in men. So it's not strange we are probably treating worse the women, because we didn't test on women. We don't know how they behave. So it's extremely challenging. But now, I don't think it's only women or sex or gender. There are actually much more under-enrolled populations. And in the US, there is one of the greatest countries in the world. There's also lots of minorities or ethnicities. Look, the amount of Hispanics and Latinos, they are also not always enrolled in the studies. Even in Sweden, the variation of ethnicities in the different communes or small areas, it varies hugely. And now, even more provocative is we know that women are poorly represented in studies. You have seen in this meta-analysis of almost 600 studies how poorly represented the women are. But even worse is look how poorly represented the elderly are. And the elderly population is increasing hugely. So we don't even know how we are treating the soon majority of our population. One final reflection is that even the transfer of new science and new innovations into the reality is very heterogeneous. And we can see the recent fantastic introduction of vaccines in the world. How heterogeneity is. Is this really inclusive? So there are certainly many more factors, socioeconomic, religious, individual, and whatnot. So my final words are to give some sort of hope, small signs of hope. In Oxford, we joked that, sad joke, that women had 5 U's, were understudied, under-recognized, underdiagnosed, undertreated, and underestimated. It's time to stop this. Probably we could replace women by minorities or other words here actually, but let's go back to the women. I'm so happy there are now efforts from UN, EU, Lancet and big journals to improve this situation. I see that even Vetenskapsrådet and the Swedish Science Council and other founders like Heart and Lung Foundation are paying attention to sex in their applications and fundings. And even today's release, it's a big move into this direction. So one size doesn't actually fit all. Why should it be? if we really want to minimize the harm, accelerate development pipelines, save lives, or give at least better lives, we have really to believe and to remember that humans are all unique and dynamic. And that is why it's exciting to go to work every day. And that's why each patient is a unique challenge. So with this, I just want to thank you very much for today.